think you were involved in that.
I was.
As I recall. And they got to get along okay after that. You had some conversations with them about that. So thank you.
Yeah, I still see their trucks are on the road, and they were also getting close. The conflicts were tearing apart the financial structure
Yes.
too. But they're doing pretty good, I see. And actually, they did some work for me on my house once too. They're good, very good company.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
so thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I wanted you to come, is because we've worked together and are able to integrate more of this process work model around conflict facilitation and things like that, plus all the more structural work that you do, and the work on the figures and on the charts and on the coordination between departments in a more traditional, that you've been open to integrating
Yes.
and seeing the value of both. And what I'm trying to get all these folks to see is the value of the other, that we're really good at facilitating and hotspots and conflict and polarizations, but we've also got to be able to talk this other stuff,
Yes.
like, you know, budgets and business and flow and customer satisfaction, and especially a lot of the groups I'm involved with are in that position that you were talking. Like, I'm working with a group that has a 70-year-old founder and leader,
Yes.
very famous,
Yes.
and he doesn't want to travel all over the world. He's only got one other assistant that he's trained, and all of a sudden they're saying, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Who's going to teach all these courses? Who's going to train everybody? Process Work Center's better. We keep training other teachers, but they never trained anybody. And so just the things you're talking about are very practical and very real, and we're going to face over and over again.
So one of the key things here is I encourage organizations, before somebody is leaving, you know, somebody's given their notice or something, I say, let's sit down with that person and let's download. You know, I'll run a recorder, we'll do a video, and we'll have several people, we'll ask this person every question we can think of. We'll have them walk us through the plant, have them show us every nook and cranny. You've got to drive the knowledge into the system, because the problem is, if you drive it just into other practitioners, then you just have their, they can come and go, you know. You need to drive it into the structure and the system of the organization. In the same way, look at what McDonald's does. You know, I hate McDonald's to eat there, but look what they do. They can hire a half a dozen high school kids who have maybe never cooked at all, or God knows what they may have cooked, and in a couple of days, you can have them outproduce 10 chefs in terms of volume and cranking out quantities of food that's reliable. And so it's the system.
Systems. I had one more question too. I know we're almost out of time, and I'll bet other people have questions too. That is, a lot of the clients that we get are people who have often been what I call quick retired. In other words, you get to the office, you work 25 years, and your stuff's packed up.
Yeah.
And you're escorted to the door, and whatever. And do you work with organizations about how to help people transition? I've also worked with people who had that job of doing that, and they quit because they hated, watching people suffer. Do you advise organizations sometimes on how to make more what I would call process-oriented transitions rather than just kicking people out the door and stuff like that?
Well, ideally that, in organizations I'm involved in, I'm in Toastmasters, and you have a 1-year term when you take a position on a board, whether it's the sergeant at arms or the treasurer, whatever you're doing, and the first 6 months you're doing it, and then it's at the 6th month point, you're expected to bring in a mentor who will be your assistant and help you, and you're going to train them for that second 6-month period. And then the end of a year, then that assistant takes over, and they operate for the first 6 months, and then they train their replacement, their assistant. But by doing that, and what a lot of the fellows do after they see how this pattern works, is as soon as they're going to start, they're already identifying, hey, let's start working with me right away, we'll work together as a team, and this way you'll have a full year, That way there's continuity, and you have a team, and it's not all resting on any one person's shoulders.
it's very interesting. We've been talking a lot, the faculty here, about how to create more of a mentorship, because otherwise it's like, I teach and then all of a sudden I expect somebody else is gonna like become a teacher.
Yeah.
So how do you, that's how things used to be done, right? More apprenticeships and mentorships. And I just wanted to open it up. We only have about 5 minutes left. Is there any other questions? It's just an introduction into that more mainstream world and how we interface with it, which we're headed there. Anybody have any questions online or in the room? That was
My
musical.
computer does.
Your question, your computers. Anybody? Any? Or
Well, people are typing online.
people are typing.
Not people are typing.
Succession planning is critical. Apprenticeships. Lolo says,
Just feeling grateful to hear.
feeling grateful to hear. Appreciations are coming. More apprenticeships, yes, Ashley says we need apprenticeships. It would be neat to hear how exactly the two of us work together sometimes to bridge the worlds. Did you want to say more about that? I mean, what I noticed was you would call me in more because of my background in conflict work or family therapy or something like that to help more with those relationship aspects of the work while you were doing a little more of the structural. But I don't, would you say that? How have
Well, that's how we have been doing it.
Yeah,
And we certainly could do it more.
yeah.
And a model that I've been using with other people in collaboration is like attorneys and accountants, and we do a panel discussion on succession and exit. And we each talk for like 10 minutes, and then that's 30 minutes, and then we do Q&A for 30 minutes. Or we can extend that. And I've done it with just an attorney and myself, or just an accountant and myself, or with an accountant and an attorney. And I've done it online, and I've had like 5 or 6 people. I have a commercial real estate person, I'll have a financial, somebody with Series 6 and 63 and that type of thing. They're financial advisors, certified financial planners and things like that. And there's insurance agents, because insurance is a crucial thing. You want key person insurance, and then you want employee dishonesty insurance, and then you want errors and omission, especially, when you're driving all the decision making down, you want errors and omission to cover yourself, So there's a lot of different
Ways to collaborate.
ways that we can collaborate, and the key is collaboration. And it's not easy to collaborate. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to collaborate.
Yeah.
I love the ideas of the counseling, coaching, consulting, mentoring, training, facilitation. That's a whole string. And there's little subtleties between, and there are different ways of knowing. You can know how, or know that, or know why. You may be an expert at being a machinist, but that doesn't mean you can train a machinist, mentor a machinist, or that you can explain the process of machining. So, to be a teacher, you don't necessarily, you're not an expert at doing it to be able to be an expert teacher at it. And people say, well, if you haven't become a millionaire, what business do you have about talking about money? Well, they have nothing to do with each other. I could use some examples, but I won't. It's most important to recognize what is the knowledge and way of being and the skill set needed in the situation. And for collaboration, you identify projects and you define the projects, and then you bring in the extra people that you need. In the Institute of Management Consultants, we have a one-page, 20-item code of ethics. And one of them is you will not accept a job if you are not qualified to perform the job, or that you haven't made arrangements with other people who are qualified.
Team building.
Team building. So when you walk into organizations and you find that they have 10, 12 different needs, some people will step away, And, but others say, well, I can do this part, and I have other colleagues, and I'll assemble a team, and we'll address your issues. So I want to propose that we do some ventures together, we do some projects
Great,
together,
that'd be great.
and we experiment with. And, you know, we have a whole team of Institute of Management consultants
Right,
that come play with us.
sounds great. I want to thank you so much. It's been so helpful and stimulating, and gets us really